like a Hellcat.
So last but not least for this 6.5 part mini-series on rebalancing the weapons of Halo, we get to the Hydra. The weapon that was originally designed in Halo 5 as kind of the answer to the advanced mobility that was present in the game that kind of lost its identity when advanced mobility was removed. I do have several major pillars of issues with this weapon, but we'll get into it after I show off and explain how it works differently. So, at least in its current iteration, the Hydra is an objectively worse weapon than it was in Halo 5. I'm not sure if it deals less damage necessarily, but it does deal less splash damage. I have the problem with all the weapons, is it deals less splash damage. It reloads far slower. It has far less magnetism with its shots compared to its Halo 5 iteration. And its tracking is actually, though not directly, its tracking is far improved from its Halo 5 position, purely because of the fact that I forgot what I said already.
Nice run that time, Spartan.
It's improved in the fact that it can continue tracking without having to be scoped in, which was the one problem, which is the one downside of Halo 5 with their descoping mechanic. Because of their high mobility, they remove an infinite sprint and stuff like that. They removed the ability to, well, they made it to where whenever you got shot, you descope with weapons like that. I'm not sure if that was really a thing in other games. I don't think it was a thing in Halo 4. But it made its way back in Halo 5. So, in its current iteration, my issues with it are actually along the lines of a lot of the issues I had with it previously. I do think it actually just does more damage on impact with its regular shot. Where is it at? With its regular attack. Than the Halo 5 version did. But the issue is its tracking shot actually reduces damage by I think 50%, which the Halo 5 version didn't. And this, of course, is 100% purely to prevent it from being so dominant because there isn't the advanced mobility. However, I think that's kind of a crap excuse, because if you just think about it, I mean, even there, I think it takes 3 minimum. When Halo 5, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm just mistaken, if you track the shots and they hit directly, it would take 2. I think that's a stupid excuse, because there is some pretty advanced mobility possible in Halo Infinite. I mean, because in fact, 3 of the Spartan abilities that we can pick up augment our mobility. The repulsor can, one, prevent the Hydra rockets from hitting you in the first place, but can also quickly just shove you back or something like that. I think that's gonna be a grapple shot. And then of course there's a grapple shot, which can both quickly get you back in close range to your target, or to the person attacking you, or get away. And personally, I think getting close to them is better because it causes them to do splash damage to themselves, and you can get in for melee or something like that. And of course, the Lesser Pack still exists. And the other thing is, sprinting still exists in Halo Infinite. It's not as fast, but it doesn't come with the downside of the shield's not regenerating like it did in Halo 5. So I think the fact that the tracking damage, as well as the tracking magnetism being lower, the excuse for them isn't very valid. I mean, it's the same excuse as the way the Needler doesn't track as well, the Pulse Carbine doesn't track as well, is there isn't as much advanced combat, and when they... I'm assuming that whenever they came up with a lot of these weapons and their position in the sandbox, advanced mobility was probably still a thing, at least in that current build of the game. So I feel like that might still be an overhang of that. But so, my 2 biggest issues are, it just does not deal as much damage. I think it probably should honestly deal double damage. I think it should still 2-shot, untracked shots in maybe, I definitely think it should be 1, it should be 2 and 2 regardless, but 2 untracked and then 3 tracked, because the fact that you can only at maximum kill one Spartan unless you're just getting really lucky with clumped up enemies with a single clip if you're tracking them, and two if you're lucky and really good with your aim, and maybe a little bit more with your untracking shots. It just doesn't feel good, especially when it's filling the class of that like sub power weapon. Filling the same role that a lot of the sub power weapons are also filling, just this area denial splash damage weapon that a lot of those weapons I've already reviewed in this series, like the Ravager. I haven't covered the heat wave and their Cinder Shot. Cinder Shot I honestly feel like fills that slot right now because it doesn't feel like a power weapon, but I don't feel like I personally don't think it should be forced to be a power weapon. If they want the Cinder Shot to be a power weapon, they should definitely make it work more like the Ad Victorium or the Incineration Cannon, the two weapons that's kind of filling the slot of. But it doesn't have the impact, the hitting power that I feel it should. Now, I will say, it is able to track from a very far distance, which is something that the Halo 5 version really couldn't. And of course, not without scoping, and so the fact that you can do it without scoping is great, but the fact that it costs so many more shots to actually kill somebody, and the fact that it takes so many shots and doesn't track very well, so if they sidestep ever so slightly and miss them. Halo 5 didn't have that, and I'm fine with there being less tracking and ever so slightly less damage, but not so much that you have to basically spend a whole clip to kill somebody whenever you're tracking them, or rely on them being way too close for comfort to you in order to hit them with direct shots. And really beyond that, it's just its biggest issues is it wasn't designed for the gameplay flow of this game. It was designed with a this version of it was designed with like a Halo 3 style of combat and movement. Not very many movement abilities or very quick turnaround time to get away from attacks and stuff like that, like Halo Infinite has. Something more like Halo 3 where you just boots on the ground just walking, no sprinting, nothing like that. While its previous iteration was balanced for Halo 5 that had very advanced, very complicated, very fast-paced mobility. So I feel like it is definitely a victim of that, but I don't think it is that hard to balance in spite of that. Like I said, more damage and better tracking would be the best way to fix it. I think those two simple changes, two very simple stat changes, because magnetism is just a stat, a flat stat. When it comes to tracking, that has literally always been in Halo, so there's got to tweak it a little bit, and then just increase the stat of his damage. I think those would be the best changes for it. I think that would be the best way to make it feel like a powerful weapon, like a sub-power weapon like it's supposed to be. And I think it would more define its role, because right now, I feel like it personally just feels the... Jeez, I keep saying feels. Fills the same role as the Cinder Shot, just kind of worse, honestly, because it has the same, like, tracking sort of mechanic, but it doesn't do as much damage. Maybe it has fast projectiles, but has a slower rate, maybe the same rate of fire, but it just deals less damage. It has far less splash damage, and actually, I'm fine with this splash damage in its current iteration, as long as it deals more impact damage and has better tracking. But those are my changes. That is my take on this series. Now, if they ever add new weapons in the sandbox, which they kind of hinted to that they would, but it's kind of starting to look like that might not ever happen. We shall see. I might review those weapons. Do, of course, the initial review that I did, and then go through and actually critique them like I am now. We shall see. And of course, after this series is all uploaded, I'll take any of y'all's suggestions and discuss them all, and talk about the ones I like the most, and maybe give my opinion and try to incorporate those suggestions into my initial suggestion. Maybe try to make a custom game where we can test them out at the end of the series. But I'll let you know if that ever happens. You'll see the video when it comes out. But what do you guys think? Feel free to tell me your opinions on the Hydra. Do you like how it's currently balanced, or would you like to see it change something more like it was in Halo 5? Feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thank you all for watching. I will see you all in the next one. This is EmeraldAvengerG. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Peace out.